Thank you for taking the time to click the link to learn more about our new style progress reports. So the background to this has been we've taken the first part of this year to learn more about what people felt about the old style reports. That meant talking to parents, students and teachers. And overall, the findings are noted below. They were difficult to understand, they were time consuming, the accuracy against the grades achieved at GCSE was often poor, and there was a degree of bias when progress was calculated. Now, obviously, this is also in the wider context of we knew that we want to be reporting 3 times a year, not just once a year. So this issue around them being time consuming for teachers, it's not that we are avoiding work or that we're adverse to the idea of assessment. We're absolutely not, but we also just want to make sure that we have enough time to focus on planning and learning and supporting the students from those assessments. So if you spend too long creating and marking the assessments, you don't have enough time to do actually the responsive work that's needed in the classroom. So we want to move to be able to do these 3 times a year. So that's important for us to get the balance right. In terms of improving the accuracy and reducing bias, it's important for us to take into account the halo effect. This was a term first coined in 1920. You've probably heard about it in other contexts. And it's where how something or someone presents can distort our understanding of how they're actually performing. So in the study, it was based in hospitals, and it was about how surgeons were performing, and and in this context, we're talking about students. So if a student has got neat handwriting, is quite organised, we might think they're performing really well. We might exaggerate where they're at and what they're capable of. Whereas a student whose handwriting is a little untidy, they can be a little bit scruffy in their presentation, we might have less expectation for those students. And of course that's really problematic, because for neither student are we getting it right. Student A actually possibly needs more support to achieve that ultimate goal and could be disappointed by their end results. And student B, we need greater aspiration for. We should be challenging them more to achieve higher grades, not accepting where they are. So the halo effect is an important thing for us to take into account and try and remove from the process if we can. And the other part's around accuracy. So what we know from looking at national data and typical Key Stage 3 data around in our school and around having talked to local schools as well, is that the Key Stage 3 data can often be overly optimistic. I think it can be difficult in Year 7 when they come in. We don't quite know where they're at. We're more likely to give them almost the benefit of the doubt. So we're unlikely to kind of give those kind of lower grades. We're more likely to say, oh, they'll do okay, they'll come good in the end. And you can see here the Key Stage 3 typical line, we are often overestimating those grade 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and not being realistic about the students who might be heading towards the 1, 2s and 3s. So getting that right is really important, because although it may be a difficult message to receive, it means that we're definitely putting interventions and support into the right lessons or students or subjects. So we really wanted to tackle that as well. So we've used this information to design a new report. So now we're going to be reporting on 1 to 9 GCSE grades, and obviously A star to E will continue at A levels, and distinction star to pass at level 3 BTECs. But this new part is the 1 to 9 GCSE grades, particularly for Key Stage 3. So the grades are going to be produced from tests the students have completed as part of the normal assessment cycle. And we know that this is going to give a more accurate indication of students' likely performance at GCSEs. So they will have sat in assessments, and we will look at the distribution of those marks that the whole cohort have achieved, and we will be honest with ourselves about how many of those students then might actually, we know from previous GCSE results, how many of those students might be U's, might be 1s, 2s, 3s and so on. So that we're getting, we're not asking the teachers to give us that indication, we're just purely students sit the assessment, they're given a mark, and that then reflects a potential grade. So we're reducing any bias as much as possible and improving the accuracy, because we're basing it on previous year's GCSE results profiles. So what does this look like? So grades obviously are just part of the picture, so they'll be on that right hand side, and those grades 1 to 9 will appear there. And obviously, I repeat again, you will get these 3 times a year next year. The praise and expectation points, though, are still a really important part of this picture, because that reflects the engagement and effort in class. So, you know, a student who can be achieving 3s and 4s and they are putting in 100% effort, that is absolutely where they should be, then that praise and expectation points will be your indicator of that. Homework praise and homework not attempted will be an indication of how they're getting on with their home learning, so you're getting that full picture. And the attendance and lates, because obviously as much as possible, if they're in lessons, they're learning, so if they've missed some learning, it will be shown here so that you can take that into account. Now, on that information on the left-hand side, all of that is pulled from class charts and as up-to-date as possible. However, it's really best to see that live in class charts. So I really recommend logging into class charts and having a look at that. I'm sure you're kind of doing that regularly anyway, but we thought it'd be helpful to have it here alongside the grades. So, please take time over the Easter to digest this New Style report. I've put on the letter to parents today a link to give us feedback and comments or ask quick questions. But we're hoping this now is going to be much more informative for you, and this New Style report will be repeated again in June. So you'll receive another report which you'll be able to kind of compare with this one in June, and then following year, next year, there'll be 3 times a year. Thanks for listening. Have a good holiday.